Greetings, this is Dr. Doula, here to offer you a lifeline and to add some value to your day. Hopefully you'll leave from hearing what I have to say feeling better than you did when you came in. I've been thinking again because that's what I do. And I actually had a bunch of thoughts that came together for me. So we know, we're officially in summer now. And I remember last year. Hey, Siloa. Hi, beautiful. It's so good to see you. Hey. I remember last year, my husband and I, we sold our home of 20 plus years after our last one graduated, and we live in a travel trailer. And so we live a bit closer to the earth than we ever really have. And I remember last year really fully getting an understanding of what it meant to have summer. I remember like when the solstice came, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I remember July getting hotter, and it confused me a little bit. I didn't quite understand. I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, how is this the longest day of the year, and it's not the hottest day of the year? Oh, I feel this so good. Silo, I said, hi, beautiful. So happy I caught you live again. I'm so excited to soak up this wisdom. And girly girl, I am so glad you're here because this is in my heart. And I know it's something that any of us could use. Sometimes things don't look like they line up the way we think they should. All around us, Creator tries to show us the way things come to be, the way things come to form. We hear of seed and then time and then harvest. We're told this is the way the world works, but we don't always quite get it. And that's exactly how it was for me. And I started saying, heck, Spirit, help me understand. Why is it so hot now in July, but we already did the solstice? Now, maybe y'all are like way smarter and you just know, it's just going to be hotter. Of course, it's hotter in July and August, of course. But that's not my question. My question was why? I just don't get it. How can it be that there's more sun, there's more direct sunlight on this planet, depending on the hemisphere you're in, and yet that doesn't mark when the hottest times are? That's a little different. I have the knowledge, but I like the understanding. And I remember getting it. Now, so if you're a cook, this is gonna, like if you really, if you work in the kitchen at all, I couldn't think of many other analogies, but this is the one Creator gave me, and it works so well. So you know how sometimes you're cooking something, and it'll say something like, bring it to a boil and then turn it down. How many dishes are like that? Or you're cooking something in the oven and it says, when it gets to this point, remove it from the heat. Okay, so think like that for me. Creator said the solstice represents bringing it to a boil. But the time that it takes after that and the heat that comes, it's like what happens when you have a pot on the stove. What you would notice is when you take the heat off or even turn it down, like you can have it up to the highest and bring it down to a medium or low, and the pot will continue to boil. Stay with me, okay? The pot will continue to boil. And as long as it's boiling, it's doing what? It's still cooking. Maybe you make rice like that. Maybe you make soup like that. Maybe you do something where there's something, you bring it to a boil and then you turn it down, but it continues to cook. Sometimes we get so focused on, I did this, like what we can directly see. All right. The sunlight we can directly see. So what does it mean? It means that even though the days are hotter in July, that the days won't be as long in July and August. They're just not going to be, right? Because now they're moving closer to evening out again. You would think that the actions, please follow me here, that you're taking are aligned with what you see and when you see the manifestation, but it is not so. There are certain vegetables and plants. I remember the first time My grandparents were farmers, and so we always, when we were with them, we ate fresh everything out in the, purple hull peas, we were out there, okra, watermelon, corn, even an apple tree. I mean, whatever you want to call out, they had it. Green beans, collard greens, different kind of greens, mustard greens, blah, 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 blah. So we were directly touching the soil, right? But do you know that there's certain plants? I remember I was trying for the first time doing, 2020, when we were all kind of shut in. I said, I want to plant a garden like my grandparents did from seed. I had never planted anything from seed. Hey, Mama Tooth. I had never planted from seed. And I said, I want to do like my grandparents did. I want to plant from seed. And so I was here. I was in the location. It happens to be where I am now. I was here for 3 months, and I planted in March, right when everything shut down. But I was going back to Chicago in June. And I remember being a little disappointed because while the day that I was leaving, I did see like little tomatoes. I said, Daddy, why aren't my okra coming up? Daddy, why isn't this coming up? Why isn't that coming up? And his response was, hey, Miss Ricks. His response was, it has to get hotter in order for some vegetables to grow. It has to get hotter before, like I was looking at the peach trees and the fig trees. And I said, Daddy, when are they going to really round out? And he said, it has to get hotter. Please stay with me. Please stay with me. So here we have the longest day of the year. We have the thing that we can see with our senses because we are sight, smell, touch, taste, whatever one, taste, smell, hearing, touch, sight, whatever. We look to see everything with our eyes, smell it with our nose, feel it with our skin. So we can sense, we can see the sun, and we say, okay, this is the hot time because the sun is out. Ooh, it's hot. Well, wait till July and August. In July and August, you're going to really see how hot it is. And why is that? Because there is a way in this realm, in this earth, we are accustomed and we want to see the seed and the fruit at the same time. We want to see the seed go in the ground and the fruit come up and the vegetables come up. We want to see it all happen at the same time. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. The same way that you turn that pot off, all right, when it starts to boil, turn it down. Why are you saying turn it down? Because you know that the bottom is gonna, hi, no Kukulego. How are you, beautiful? We have to talk. I haven't seen you in forever. We haven't talked in forever. You know if you leave it up on high, why it's boiling. What's gonna happen, y'all? You can text it. Okay, you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna say it. It's gonna scorch the bottom. It's gonna burn. It's gonna whatever. Basically, you can't keep it at that heat and it not be destructive. There are things that we want to see a certain way. We want to see our actions do this certain thing. But you're really not necessarily equipped. And I just need you to go with me because everybody will have their own situation that they're believing for. Their own thing that they're hoping for. You're going to say, I did all this, I did that, I did the other, I planted this, I did the other, I did. But there's a time that goes. It's the seed, it's the time, and it's the harvest. There are things that we have to wait for. That we just need to wait. Just because you turn the pot down doesn't mean it's not boiling. Now, where's this counting thing come in? Well, the counting comes in because this is when we start to speak against the thing that we've been working toward. When we have to wait and it doesn't look like it's coming the way we want it to, this is the time when we start saying, see, you know what? I knew I shouldn't have, or this is what I'm talking about. Every time I try to do this, every time I try to do a thing, every time I try, we start to speak against all of our efforts. It's the equivalent of planting seed in the ground and then getting mad because you don't see it come up the way that you think it should. Deciding to hack it down because I don't see any okra yet. I don't see any okra. I don't see anything growing. There's no corn on the stalks. It's not growing. If you would hold the thing that Creator told you to do and continue in the thing Creator told you to do, and just stay, wait, if it's like, okay, release that and now turn it down and just be here. Well, what is be here really? What is that while I'm waiting for the thing that I've prayed for, the thing that I watched for? Hey, Sean, what is waiting? I planted. I did all this work. What is waiting? Well, see, while you're waiting, this is when you have to be mindful not to be destructive to what you're building. You don't need to be destructive. And because we are participating in what we're creating, we have to be mindful to say, I know that just because I can't see what's happening in the dark, that there is something happening. So what do you do while you wait to see what's going to pop up out of the ground? What do? We water it. Sometimes you have to weed it. Different things. You care for it. You tend to it. You do these things because you believe in the harvest, in the thing that's coming. What does that look like in our lives? The watering. I'm so glad you asked. What is the watering? I had this thought, and it was like, count your blessings. It's the little song that we used to sing. It's the song, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Now you're like, okay, first of all, I'm not a child. But guess what? The childlike spirit is what waters and nurtures what we've been building. A childlike spirit is what keeps this thing going. A childlike spirit that says, I will continue to hold on. I will continue to believe. Well, what will I do with my thoughts and my mouth that threatens to want to destroy what I've been building? I'm going to use them to start counting. Before I got on here, you know how you'll be on Facebook and then they'll flash up some advertisement. And there was a skin condition they were talking about. And I looked at it, and it was one of those that I looked at and I said, oh my God, that looks painful. And I immediately was so empathetic about it, like, oh my God, and didn't even know whose skin they were showing, but I was just in retrospect praying, like, you know, God, give them, soothe that. It looks inflamed, it looks painful, it looks whatever. And Creator, and I'll just be really honest here, in that moment, I don't know why in that moment, but in that moment, I started thinking, I was like, how many things have you said you didn't like on your body? Talking to myself, like, how many things were you just ungrateful for? Because whether it's the culture you live in, or you didn't look like someone else, or, you know, I know I used to dislike being the tallest girl. I've always been very tall. And until while I was in like elementary school, the boys hadn't hit their growth spurt yet, but I had. You know, I was tall always, and I remember always being behind them and it's like, oh, I hate that I'm so tall. And you know, and the smaller girls seem to get so much different kind of attention, being petite and small and everything. And I was like, oh. And then I remember not liking my skin complexion, and I was like, oh, why do I have to be so dark? And people back then, you know, there were all kinds of names and stuff. It's like, oh, why do I have to be so this, and why do I have to be so that? And then it was like, my knock knees. Now wait, learned in South Africa, that's kiss madolo. Madolo is knees. So I was talking to the little sister there that I met in one of the elementary schools we went to speak in, and I was telling her, and she was 13 and she wasn't feeling good about her body right now. And I was like, beautiful, precious. I was like, you know, look, I said, do you want me to tell you all the things that I've always had a problem with? And I went down. I was like, look, this is like this on me, and this is like this. And she's just the cutest little thing, but she's like, we all go through living whatever. And I pulled my dress up and I said, look at my knees, I'm knock-kneed. And I used to get teased about it, and I hated it so much. And she said, and I said, what? She said, you kissed my dolo. They kissed my dolo. And I was like, kiss? Does my dolo mean knees? And she said, yes, your knees kiss. Oh my God. I was so tickled. I was like, what? She said, no, but it's okay. I was like, you need to tell me there's a name for it. I told my little sister, she said, I'm typing it down. Now I know exactly what to call you. I remember how, there's always something about us that we just don't agree with and like. But in that moment when I was looking at those with the skin condition and the pain that I could just sense even through the photos, I said, I don't know. I don't know when we get revelations about what. I don't know why we get them when we get them. But all of a sudden, not that I had an issue with my complexion or anything anymore, but I was just like, I just heard the song, count your blessings, name them one by one, count your blessings, see what God has done, count your blessings, name them one by one, count your many blessings, see what God has done. And so then what does that have to do with, I'm planting and I'm waiting, or the pot is boiling, but I'm waiting for it to get done. And I've put these efforts out here, but I'm waiting. The thing about it is that we participate with Creator to create the existence that we have. It matters what we think on. It matters what we choose for thoughts around us. It matters how we choose to hold on to different things. It matters. It matters whether we tend toward negativity. Look, you can choose to do what you want, but it all matters. It matters whether we walk in gratitude and gratefulness, because there is something about being childlike. Like Mama Too's Lola Marie said, childlike spirit is what I heard this morning. Yes, praises, yes. A childlike spirit, one that is willing to see. All I thought about in that moment, I remember not liking that I have large hands, I have large feet, I have all these things. I remember having issues with all these things. Then when I was younger, it's like, my body shape is not like this one, and this one is not like that. All these very superficial things. When there are people out here that wish their health was intact, that wish that they had certain things that they could do that didn't cause them troubles. There are so many things for us to feel blessed about, that when we get to that time where we're waiting, instead of complaining, instead of saying, why me? I'm trying this again. I always get rejected. Can I please tell you I'm not teasing you? I'm talking about myself. That's me. Why are people like, this is me. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you at all. Just talk about me. Let's talk about me. Why? Yet I'm able to use my two legs, my kiss, my dolo, right? I'm able to use my two legs to get up and walk when I want to. My voice box work, my larynx, all this works. I get to talk right now. There's somebody that wishes they could talk and they can't form words. There are accidents that didn't happen that you were like, whoa, Jesus, oh my God. There's situations that were bypassed. There are things that didn't come your way. When you're tempted to complain, let me explain something. Thoughts are going to come, but they don't have to stick and they don't have to stay. We are human. We're going to feel what we feel. But what we choose to meditate on, we get to determine that part. We get to determine that. That's why scriptures will say stuff like, whatever is noble, whatever is good report, whatever is this, think on these things that are good, think on the higher thing, think on this. It's always think on it, because you have a choice. Because you get to decide whether this thought is going to stick here. And I said in a different video, and I'm going to repeat it here, the plans God has for us, they're good. So when we hear these thoughts, when we hear these things, you know what? It's not going to work out again. And you know you're doing the thing you felt led to do. This is not going to work out again. Listen, we're going to be feeling and doing and navigating and managing. And this is life. Look at the baby, how the baby, I posted something today, and it's a tree laying on its side, right? And you can tell the tree fell over. I mean, the roots aren't really even up there. The tree is laying on its side, but the limbs are still growing up. And I think it says something like, fell a long time ago, still doing something. It's like, I forget what the exact frame of it was. But I don't know why we think perfection is what we're going for, but it's not. But with every single thing that we're doing, we have an opportunity to learn. And if everything that we're building, we destroy with our mouths, if everything that we're trying to do, we're willing to tear it down, I'm going to throw this pot of soup away because it's not done yet. When it started boiling, ain't it done? I must have messed up the soup because the soup is not done. No. Just like the earth, we had solstice yesterday, summer solstice. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you had winter solstice. No, we had the heat is up, the thing's happening. Now turn it down and let it cook. And some of us are just in the let it cook phase. Let it cook, let it cook. I know you know why trees talk, Mama Tooks. I know you know they talk. All around us, Creator is saying, watch how my creation works. Watch how creation moves. Watch how creation moves. I will never forget. I remember when I was younger, I was in my 30s, I think, 20s, somewhere around there, late 20s, early 30s. And all of my friends, by the time we had been out of school for a decade, and I remember that they were, I was reaching out to them about something, and it just seemed like they were all talking about traveling. They were talking about promotions and different things. And I was breastfeeding, potty training. I was homeschooling. And when they finished telling me all the great things they were doing, all I could say was what I was doing. And I'm schooling. And for some, they were like, oh, but you're an engineer major. Oh, but you got your degree in math. Like, oh, that's okay. That's good. That's good. It wasn't quite seen as a noble thing to be there with my children. And I remember crying one day. I remember where I was sitting. I think somebody was sitting on a little pot beside me, and the other one I was breastfeeding. And the other ones were running around doing whatever they weren't probably supposed to be doing at the time. And I remember that I was crying, and I was like, God, when will it be our time? It was the early 2000s or mid 2000s. And I was like, when will it be our time? Why is everybody moving and going? And that's part of the problem. We just looking around us at other people. We're like, why is everybody else doing all kinds of stuff? And look at me. I'm just here with these babies. And I was crying, and I heard so clear. I heard Spirit say, what you have asked for will take time. What you've asked for will take time. And that's what it is. So there are farmers that are getting excited because the weather's going to get hot. It's getting hotter as we speak. Look at the 10-day forecast. The weather doesn't get hot until after the solstice. It's really not cooking. The earth is not really cooking until after the solstice, when it's turned down. The heat is turned down, and it's just left there to be there. Same thing in the winter. The coldest month is not December when it's January. That's the coldest month after the shortest day. I'm encouraging you that while you're waiting, because in the meantime, over these years, now I can tell you where I end up now with my babies. Oh my gosh, they're all adult aged and grown and amazing and their own individual people. And I feel so rewarded right now. And I'm so grateful. However, it didn't feel like it at the time. I had to keep watering and nurturing what I had started to build. I had to keep watering and nurturing what was happening in our family. I had to keep nurturing and nurturing what was going on. And the way that happens is with the gratitude. If I was angry all those 20 years ago because I got these kids, and if I was ungrateful and didn't walk through it with grace and didn't show gratitude as they were growing into themselves, not that they weren't frustrating, but if I didn't understand the gratitude and didn't water those years, then I wouldn't be in a place now where I can look and say, whoo, we did a good job. Me and Coach did a good job. And we wouldn't be so proud of the result. What am I saying? I'm saying the farmers are getting excited. They're watering, and they know that the little plants that have come up are about to start really putting forth fruits and vegetables. And in the meantime, they tend to them. So whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you've been planted and taken care of and nurturing and doing, don't get disappointed just because it seems like nothing is happening. Oh, it's happening. It's cooking. It's not quite done yet, but it's cooking. You turned the pot down, but the soup is still cooking. It's been the longest day of the year visually with the sun, right? But the earth is still cooking, bringing us food, bringing food from the ground, giving us these hot months where things can grow. And the same thing is happening in your life. In your life, as you water with gratitude, what is it? What is it that you're grateful for? Do me a favor and type something in that you're grateful for. And whatever that gratitude is, I encourage you to continue to build on it. When you feel tempted to complain, no smart farmer would get so disgusted that they would go dig up what they had planted and taken the work to do. When you're waiting, while you're waiting, start counting. While you're waiting, start counting. Siloa says, I'm grateful for my babies. And enjoy it, because there'll be a time when you will want to just squeeze them. And they would have grown so much. And so everything, and they move away. I'm grateful for the land I live on and the opportunity to grow. Siloa, I love it. Mama Took says, I am grateful for family. When you are tempted to complain about that thing that's not yet done, it's not yet finished cooking, that you know Creator said, cook it, make it, design it, do this thing, start counting. I'm a little frustrated because this is not working yet, but I'm grateful. Oh, I'm grateful that I get to see this thing happening. I'm grateful for the person that told me about this opportunity. I'm grateful that, I have to go back and make revisions. I'm grateful that I know how to make revisions. I'm grateful. Siloa says, I'm grateful for my health, for that is true wealth. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? I have so much gratitude that at 51, I still get to travel. And I'm not worried about medications and things like that. I give thanks. I have gratitude. It's not like that for everyone. I am grateful. I get to do things, and I don't have to worry about certain limitations. I thank God that I can still get. Let me tell y'all, this is my last point. I remember, and it's a small thing people think until you get older. I remember some years ago, I said, one thing that I want to be able to do is to get on the floor and get back up. I started saying stuff like, I want to be able to paint my own toenails. I want to be able to do these own things myself. Now, that seems really crazy until you start looking at how it's not always easy to get up as you get older. If that's not, that things can happen in your body. And so I was like, no, I always want to be able to sit on the floor when I want to and get up when I want to. And as I get older, I understand why people are like, ooh, I don't want to get on that floor, child. I don't want to sit on that floor. But I look and I said, that's one of the things that I want to do. And so I make a determination. I get on the floor. I get up. It's a blessing. What am I saying? I'm saying you're blessed. Whatever it is that you got going for you, you're blessed. Whatever that thing is that you've been complaining about, you're blessed. You are blessed. Count your blessings. When you are tempted to complain, count your blessings. Sing with me. I know y'all have heard this from a child. Sing with me so I can turn this off. Count your blessings. Name them one by one. Count your blessings. See what God has done. Count your blessings. Name them one by one. Count your many blessings. Count your many blessings. Count your many blessings. See what God has done. Blessings. Count those blessings while you're waiting. Count your blessings. Keep your energy high. Keep your energy high. Keep choosing life. Keep choosing life. And watch, before you know it, it'll all come forth. Blessings.